it's not even 1 centimeter. Ugh, my heart sank. I'm like, what do you mean it's not even 1 centimeter? Like, I've been having these contractions for, or like, 2 and 3 minutes. Like, they're so constant. Like, I can't breathe. I'm shaking. I'm sweating. I'm losing force on my legs. I've tried everything, and like, I can't. Like, I started crying out of frustration. I was like, oh my God, that means I can't get medicine. But the nurse, I think she saw how bad I was, and she was like, let me just talk to the doctor, like my doctor, and see what she would suggest. So the doctor said I could get medicine, but they didn't give me the full epidural. They gave me the walking epidural, which I didn't even know there was such a thing. They told me walking epidural is you get the epidural on your back, but it only numbs you. It doesn't numb you. It only helps relieve like 40 to 50% of your pain. So it decreases your pain level. But the catheter is in your back. And they told me, do you want that or do you want the full epidural where we just numb you completely? And I'm over here thinking like, I don't want to be just in the bed. I want to still be able to walk and stuff. I told them I just want to cope with the pain. So give me just the walking epidural, as you say. So they go and they do that, and they come in, and I remember, like, I would hear horror stories about the epidural, but honestly, like, I don't know if this has happened to anybody who has already experienced this, but I think when you're in so much pain, like, you're not scared no more. You don't have that fear anymore. You don't even want to know what they're doing to you, who's touching you, what tests are getting done. I just wanted to have my baby. Like, I just want to be done. Just whatever you're going to do, get it over with. And I remember when my husband was there and my mom, and so they're getting me ready. They sit me down, they bend me over, and then they tell you, you know what? You can't move when we put the catheter in because you could be paralyzed or other things. We could poke the wrong spot, so we don't need you. You can't move. So I'm holding the nurse's both hands, and as soon as she goes, ready, they counted for me not to move. Ready? 1, 2. And when they put the catheter in, I got a contraction. Boy, was I dying in the inside a little bit. I remember I just looked at the nurse and like opened my eyes, and she knew, and she goes, squeeze my hand, squeeze my hand, squeeze my hand. And I'm like squeezing her poor little hands, feeling like I'm crushing her fingers. Like that was the most horrible few seconds of my life. But once it was in, like, it was like nothing. Another thing that hurt was a little numbing. It feels like a bee sting, like a little sting when they put the numbing cream before they put the catheter in. That was a little poke, but it was just a contraction right in the wrong moment. So it took a little, like right away I felt some relief within my next contraction. So I was feeling them, but I was able to bear with them. So I'm just like that. And then my family's coming like in and out of the hospital, family and friends that were coming in to visit me. I was just exhausted. I was just tired because, after being tense so long with the contractions being so bad, like your whole body aches. So I just I was able to cope with the pain. It wasn't as horrible. I was able to bear it, but my body was just feeling more relaxed. So I was just sleeping because I'm like, let me try to close my eyes, try to rest, because well, what if, when pushing comes, how's that going to go? So hours went by. So around, I'd say maybe 6 or 7 p.m., they told me that my water hadn't break and the doctor was going to break my water. So I remember my mom said, you know what, mija, when they break your water, your contractions hurt even more. So I don't want to scare you, but it's very painful. And after they break your water, very shortly after, normally your baby's born, because that speeds up the process. So she's like, I would suggest you get the full epidural. Oh, she didn't have to say twice. I was like, you know what? Call the anesthesiologist and just tell them to give me everything. Like, I don't want to feel nothing. Because, so they came in and they gave me that full epidural. But the epidural wasn't working on me. Once they gave me the full epidural, I remember I was still feeling my what side was it. I was feeling my right side. My left side went numb, but my right side was still hurting. It took the pain a little bit, but I was still feeling it. And they told me that that was normal, that everybody responded differently to, the epidural. So I was still feeling. So a little shortly after they gave me the full epidural, my water broke on its own. When the doctor came in that she was going to do it, she was like, oh, it already happened. So I was so happy I didn't have to have them do it. Like, my body did it on its own. And then, like I said, my contractions were getting even stronger after that. They were so strong. And I was able to move my toes, and I was feeling the pain. So the epidural was wearing off, and I'm like, I need more dosage because I'm feeling it. I could move, and they told me I was having back labor, which is like your whole lower back just feels like it's opening apart as I guess you're widening. So I was like, oh my goodness, I don't know if I could do this. And then they did come and they gave me more medicine, and it never took the pain away 100%. It never did. But I could bear with it. And then around 9 p.m., the doctor came in and she checked me, and she told me I was already 10 centimeters dilated. But the baby was still high up and she needed to drop. So we had to wait until she dropped so I could start pushing. So she said she was going to give me 2 hours to wait for her to drop. So then she came back at 11. And they had everybody ready. And I think that's when I got a little bit scared because of my risk of my bleeding. That's when it kicked in and I thought about it. I'm like, oh God, I had the medications, the pain meds, with my, my blood condition. What if it thinned it out? What if I start bleeding? What if something happens to me? What's going to happen to my baby? At that moment, they also told my husband to sign the paper because he was responsible to pick if something did go wrong. Who did he want them to try saving, me or the baby? Or he was a decision maker. So that was tough for him. But everything was happening so fast. And I remember they made everybody leave the room. They only let my husband and my mom, but I wanted the baby's Nina there. So they didn't even want her to be there. And last minute, thankfully, the nurse was nice and they let her be in there with me because they had the doctor, the OB doctor, 2 nurses, 3 where the baby was at, and extra people there because they had extra blood already for me, extra platelets in case something went wrong. They had to have room to move. So all I remember is that she told me, okay, lay back, let's get you in position. And she did tell me, take a deep breath. You have to push with all your might. I don't want to scare you, but this could take 1 to 2 hours of pushing. She said, so, just make sure they're good pushes and try not to give up. So when she told me that, I remember I was laying there and all I did was Dios mío, help me that everything goes good to this moment. You've never left me. This is it. I'm going to have my baby in my arms no matter what, within a few minutes or a few hours. So just don't leave me now that I need you the most, please. And I remember she told me to give the first push, so I did. And then had me breathing. And then they said, second push, go again. And by then, my mom and my husband and my baby's Nina, Doris, they were like, oh, you can feel the baby's hair. Look at that hair. Look at all the hair. Look at the head. And in my head, I'm like, whoa, that was barely the second push. And she had me take a little break. And she's like, okay, this third push, give it all you can. And in third push, my baby just shot out. And I remember everybody screamed she's here, she's out. And you don't know the joy that I felt in the moment. I wasn't scared no more. I was so relaxed. I wasn't, I cried when they put her in my arms because they're like, open your arms for your baby. And I thought she was going to be a big baby. I remember I opened both of my arms this big on the bedside as I'm laying there. And when they put her on me, my arms just shrank like this. And I remember looking at her and I'm like, oh, this is my baby. She's so little. And at that moment, everything was a blur. Like, I wasn't scared. I wasn't thinking about me. I wasn't thinking about the bleeding. I wasn't thinking about all the doctors. Sorry, babe, but I didn't even look at my husband or my mom or the baby's Nina. It was all her. Like, wow. Like, all these months, all these trials, like, because my whole pregnancy being high risk, I went through a lot too. I'm like, you're here and you're mine and you're so little. But when they took her away from me, they said she was fine, everything was okay. My bleeding, nothing was needed, thank God. Everything turned out normal. Everything was fine. Baby was perfect. Me and her did have a little bit of fever, so they were checking us on that, but everything was fine. Like, and then she was born at 11:31 p.m. July 8th, 2017. My beautiful baby girl. And then another question that I have was, how did we pick her name? So her name is Marilyn Amor, and her last name is Caro. So Marilyn Amor Caro. And my whole pregnancy, I didn't want to reveal her name because, not to be mean, because I'm sure some people were like thinking, oh, look at her, she doesn't want to reveal the name. But I didn't do it because of that. I just did it because, especially being a first time parent, I feel like, you know, I appreciated all the advice that I was getting from people, but some people just push it too much on you and try to pick everything for you. And me and my husband were like, you know, we don't want to tell nobody because there's going to be that one person that's going to go, why do you name her that? Why are you going to name her that? Why don't you name her this? And yes, like, I know people want to suggest, but we just don't want to hear it. That's the name you want, and that's what we're going to do. So how do we come up with Marilyn first, her first name? We were in between. This was way before I even knew that she was going to be a girl. Like, right when we found out I was pregnant, we picked the boy name and we picked the girl name. So for the girl name, I personally had thought I liked the name Janessa. Janessa was one of the names. And I also liked Madeline or Melanie. And then I was like, I really want a name with the M because his name is Miguel. And then his middle name is Angel. So Miguel Angel, and his last name, of course, Caro. So then I told him, babe, I want her to match your initials because some of you might know, but I have Mac tattooed. I'll post a picture later, but I have Mac tattooed on my shoulder. And one, because I like Mac like the makeup brand. And then after I was like, oh, his initials, Miguel Angel Caro. I'm like, so I want my baby to have the same initials. So a name with the M. And then I'm a big Marilyn Monroe lover. Like, I love Marilyn Monroe. So I was like, Marilyn. But then in English, I'm like, it's classic. And then in Spanish, when I said it, I was like, Marilyn. Oh my goodness. I fell in love with it. I was like, babe, I think this is it. And he goes, yeah, I like it. I'm like, Marilyn. Just, when you say Marilyn, it just sounds like, to me, in my head, I just think of a sweet little girl. And then I looked up the meaning. And the meaning is wished for a child. So I'm like, that's it. I don't need to look further. Marilyn. And Marilyn is going to be her name. Let's leave it. And then for her middle name, I was like, something with the A. And then I thought Alisa, Alessandra, I don't know, Alina. We were just like saying things. And I'm like, Amor. I'm like, Amor is perfect. Marilyn, Amor, Caro. I'm like, Amor, she's my amor. She's my love. That's why my whole pregnancy, I call her Amorcito. I told him, that's just me. That's my word. All my friends, I'm like, hi, my love. Hi, my loves. I call him, you know, mi amor. And she is mi amorcito, my little love. Like, love. That's just such a strong word. So, Marilyn Amor Caro. That's how we came up with it. That's how we came up with her name. And I have another question. Let's see. What was another question that I had? Another question that somebody asked me was, how is motherhood compared to what you expected, and when will I have more? Motherhood, oh my goodness, this is such a strong question. I think I didn't know what to expect. I really didn't, because even though majority, if not all of my friends, cousins already had children, I just think one thing is babysitting and one thing is having your own. And I don't know. I kind of knew, because once I got pregnant, people tell you, you need to sleep because you're going to be tired, or you guys can't go out no more, or like all these things. So it's like, of course, like, we're not going to go out. We're going to be taking care of our baby, and we don't mind. And of course, sleepless nights. I know babies are needy. They need you. They can't do stuff for themselves. But I'm up for it. Like, this is what I've always wanted. I've dreamed to be a mom. I always wanted to have my own baby, and I don't care. I'll give anything up for her. Anything. So now that I have her, I think it is a little bit harder in a way than what I thought. But at the same time, I can't complain, because there is sleepless nights. Let me tell you that. The pain of like breastfeeding and doctor's visits and you yourself healing, and you're still not healed yourself and have your full energy or fully recovered, and you already have a little someone that depends on you, and you don't know nothing. Like, I feel like I was asking a lot of questions, but for me it was easy too, because I had my mom, and I've always said it, like, I'm so blessed to have her, because she was a lot of help. She was taking care of me, helping me take care of the baby, sleeping with me, so I could recover, because also due to my condition, I'm more prone to being anemic, and I take longer to recover, like I said, because of the bleeding and all that. So I was feeling very weak, and my mom I would pump, and then she would feed the baby for me. So I'll pre-make the bottles, and my mom would feed her and burp her for me. And then by the second week, I'm like, okay, Mom, we could trade. You feed her one time in the night, and then another night I'll wake up and I feed her, because I feel like I'm getting my strength. So again, like, my mom stepped in big time. She's been a big help, and she's made this so much easier. And then when I came home that I was by myself with her, yeah, you still have those nights where, you can't sleep, that they keep you up. But kid you not, in the morning when, like, you're done, when night is over and it's morning, and you're up with your baby and you just see them smile, that's your fuel. Like, first, like, you didn't let me sleep all night. Why didn't you want to go to sleep? But then when they smile, it's like, it's okay. I don't mind going through that, because you're little right now, and I know I won't have you this little, and maybe one day I'll wish I could come back to hold her like this, to have her with me, to be her center of attention, because then she's going to grow and she's going to have her own friends, her own likes, and her own TV shows, her own cartoons. And I hope she's still attached to me, because until this age of mine, I'm 25, I'm so attached to my mom. So I hope me and my child have the same bond. That's what I'm hoping for and what I'm going to work for. But, things do change. And will I have more? You know what? Despite my experience of everything that happened, because honestly, it was traumatizing.